The 2015 general elections have come and gone, but there are those who are still bleeding profusely from the hefty punches of defeat that the final results landed upon them. In a strange campaign period that was charged with hate speeches, utter desperation and unethical conduct, winners and losers were bound to emerge. But while the political dust has settled after such a heated period, losers continue to reflect on their electoral misfortunes. So while we understand that there are numerous losers, we present to you the top 10 in this video. Niger Delta militants headed by Asari Dokubo and Gosdale Rubebe shared the number 10 position. Asari and his fellow militants who had issued threats to set the country ablaze in the event that Jonathan loses are yet to come to terms with the root shock that hits them after General Buhari was declared winner of the March 28 presidential polls. The militants are not unaware that the channels for the illegal benefits that have accrued to them all these years may now be closed. It is a reality they hope should only be possible in dreamland. Gosdale Rubebe, the famous bowler hat-wearing politician who turned an actor and acquired the last-minute fame at the INEC Coalition Center when he seized the microphone and held the world hostage in a desperate attempt to scuttle the electoral wish of the people. A former minister of the Niger Delta, Rubebe's role was typical of a fallen man from the top of a giant tree who must hold on to anything to remain alive. On number 9, we have Nuru Ribadu and Jimmy Agbaje. The former EFCC boss made a surprise switch when he hopped into the sinking ship of the PDP in a move he hoped would boost his chances of emerging governor of Adamawa State. But of course, it takes an unusual miracle to survive in a sinking ship. Ribadu didn't, and so he sank without a trace. The result, so unexpected, is capable of causing him eternal paralysis. Jimmy Agbaje's misfortune at the polls is a major tragedy for the entire PDP in the 2015 general elections. It is safe to conclude that his defeat was something close to a catastrophe for a party that hoped to capture the nation's commercial capital as a consolation for the devastating blow he suffered during the presidential election. Jimmy's desire to actualize his bold ideas for the people of Lagos State is a dream that will have to wait for another 4 years before re-emerging for public scrutiny in what will be his 4th attempt to be governor of Lagos State. Men of God or God of men, these untouchables are on number 8. Some of the most deceitful and dangerous personalities in Nigeria are in this class. They conceal their true identity under their self-styled title, Men of God. Their receipt of the 7 billion naira bribe during the campaign period from President Goodluck Jonathan was a bold message to the Nigerian people about the moral decay and the deception of those they have labeled spiritual fathers. Still on the top 10 losers of the 2015 Nigerian elections, on number 7 are the AIT, NTA and some top Nollywood celebrities. These media organizations crushed the code of ethics to the waist beam and brought their names into disrepute in a bid to please a sitting president whom they thought will be retained. But Providence had other plans. Their unprofessionalism and distasteful partisanship projected Nigerian journalism in a bad light. And on the Nollywood celebrities, these were a highly compromised group of people whose major concern revolved around their personal interest. Integrity is a luxury they cannot afford. How they will cope with the reality of their dashed hope is unknown to anyone. With all their proclaimed fame, they have gallantly shown that they have no electoral value whatsoever. The team of Fani-Kayode, Ruben Abati and Donyo Kupe are number 6 of the losers list. Fani-Kayode goes first. FKK is a famed political chameleon in the political landscape of Nigeria. He was, in his usual fashion, an uncontrollable nozzle during the 2015 general elections. As a result, his antics inflicted monumental damage on his principal's ambition. At some point, FKK became fully charged and wild, so much so that many feared he might even place his long teeth on his master's skin. Ruben Abati, a famous columnist with the Guardian newspaper in Nigeria, whose relentless criticisms against the government paved his way to the Nigerian State House as a media spokesperson. But in one of the strangest turnarounds ever witnessed anywhere in the world, he would become a puppet before the same government he once criticized so fiercely. The mouthpiece and defender of government's anti-people policies. The result is that his reputation now bears an indelible dent, and this, without a doubt, will haunt him for a long time from now. Doyin Okupe, driven by a mad frenzy to keep his job and continue with the usual loots of public funds, made unforgettable vows during the campaigns. First, the senior special assistant on public affairs to President Jonathan publicly asked to be called a bastard in the event that the merger between the opposition survives, before he emphatically swore that General Buhari will never be president of Nigeria again. On the number 5 position are the perceived goddesses of Nigeria's wealth and economy, Alison Desiani Madueke and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. The defeat at the polls threw this pair naked as they scamper about for cover after Desiani had invested heavily to avert Buhari's victory. The heavy loot in the oil sector and the gross mismanagement of the economy are so glaring that they cannot be concealed. The hammer seems certain to descend heavily upon this pair with unusual fume. The self-styled Undertaker, Governor Ayodele Fayose, is on the number 4 spot of the top 10 losers of the 2015 Nigerian elections. A highly controversial governor who lacks ethical conduct of all sorts and who got into office after rigging an election in connection with some officers in the military. Governor Fayose spearheaded the hate campaign when he published a death wish against General Buhari on national newspapers. His disparaging utterances mean that he now dances alone under the heavy rain. Unshakable and once unmovable power grabber Dame Patient Jonathan, a formidable pillar behind her husband, was another champion of hate campaign. She's holding on strongly to the number 3 position of the Losers Club. Mrs. Jonathan toured across Nigeria's states, inciting violence and spouting false insults to opposition members with reckless disregard. During the period, she made what is now a laughable declamation that the PDP would rule Nigeria for 60 consecutive years. Her desperation to remain the nation's first lady turned her antics into comic relief. Still sulking in defeat, she's yet to make any public appearance since her husband suffered electoral defeat in the hands of General Buhari. Standing firm on the number 2 spot is the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. After 16 years of maladministration and intense looting of public funds and inflicting severe hardship upon the Nigerian people, it was time to usher the party out of the State House, having taken the people for granted. It remains to be seen how the party, which boasted that it will rule Nigeria for 60 years, will flourish in this new role after close to 2 decades in power. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You know it, you know who, on the number 1 position of the losers of the 2015 general elections in Nigeria. President Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan, a failed and highly corrupt president who got into office through the sympathy of the people when he deceptively claimed he had no shoes while growing up. After overseeing what could be termed as the worst period in the history of Nigeria, he went on to employ all measures of desperation to retain his position, including his dollar distribution to traditional rulers, pastors, outlaws, and so on. During his reign, he encouraged impunity, corruption, and implemented anti-people policies. As he leaves office, he will be remembered as that desperate president who left the nation's coffers empty, watched and did nothing, while over 300 girls were kidnapped and over 20,000 Nigerians were killed by insurgents, and championed the most expensive political campaign on the continent of Africa. Nigerian political actors must have learned by now that the ability to deliver good governance is the magic that generates electoral victory, not the amount of money doled out to buy the people. Let the dethroned elephants learn. Battles abound ahead. We would like to state that the names mentioned in this category represent the opinions of majority of Facebook respondents. Please note that at no point did we attempt to influence the opinions.